Previously we reviewed this class employee. Um, let's see, it's a non-static class, so therefore we can make many objects of it. Okay, we can have many employees. Inside that class, we have private variables, first name, last name, things like that. These are hidden data that are private. Nobody from the outside can actually take and reach in and change any of those variables. We want to keep as many things private as possible. Then we have constructors. Constructors are methods that first happen when you create a class. We're going to look at a default and then a constructor with parameters. And then we have get and set methods. Get and set methods are used to get and set these private variables, allow access to them. And then we have what they call class methods. In this case, we're going to have one that prints out something. Here we go, our class employee. Here's our private variables. Here's our default constructor. Here's a constructor with parameters, our get and set methods, and our public class methods. Once again, we usually take and develop a little class test program that will test this out. Here we're actually taking and making a new variable of employee data type, our class. We're going to call it employee 1, and it's a new employee. When we do this, we're actually calling the constructor with no parameters. And then we can use a set method in there. Once we created our object, we get at those methods by actually using the object's name, the variable name, employee 1. And then we can set the employee's last name and send it a parameter. And then we can use, once again, we can get the get employee salary. Okay, we can use that method of this object now, okay, to actually print out the employee's salary. And then last of all, we can actually take this object's method print employee and we can print some stuff out. Let's take and break this down, rebuild this. Talk about it as we do it, just like that. We're going to get rid of everything. Boom. Empty class. Nothing left, okay? Let's take and go ahead and start building some stuff in here, okay? Start out with our private variables. Like that. The first one that they have in here is private. Notice how you're making them private. We don't want anybody outside of the class to touch these variables. Private int emp num, like that. And then we're going to have a private string. Don't forget your capital S. And we're going to say emp last name, semicolon. Private string emp first name. And in private string, no, that's not string, that's the employee's salary. Okay, that's a double. emp salary, like that, semicolon. There. That's the 4 variables we want to put in there. We're done with the private variables. Let's create that default constructor. That, okay. We have to make this method public because we have to be able to get at it from the outside. A constructor always has the same name as the class name. Be careful with your upper lower case too, because it has to be exactly the same. In this case, it's called employee, employee, like that, okay? Opening and closing parentheses, opening and closing curly braces. It's a method that receives no arguments, no parameters. What we're going to do this, we're going to take and we're going to set private variables, like that. So we're going to say this. We're going to learn how to do this, okay? This, like that, okay? This means this class. It's very simple. This means this class. So in other words, when I say this, I'm saying employee. I could say employee dot, and I can go EMP number like this, okay? Like that is equal to, let's make that 0. Okay, once again, when you use the word this, all it means is that it's this class, okay? And this class dot, in this case, I'm just setting this private variable up here, okay? EMP num. This is kind of, you'll see in a minute why it's nice. Okay, this also set this dot and an EMP last name right there, okay? Trying to get that, there it goes right there, is equal to nothing, semicolon, like that. And also this dot EMP first name is equal to semicolon, like that. Okay, and this dot EMP, and what I'm doing is I'm cursoring down here. I'm going to do my employee this time, okay? What I do is I hit tab, that selects it, and if you hit enter, it pastes it right in. Let's say that's equal to 0.0 semicolon, like that. That completes our default constructor. Now let's make a constructor that actually takes parameters. It's going to set all of those. No, this is default. This is our constructor with parameters, like that. Once again, public. Same name as our class. And this time we're going to get a whole bunch of parameters in here, okay? Starting out with the EMP name, we're going to take that in as an int, EMP num. I always make them the same as they are up above. And we're going to make a string, EMP last name, string, P first name, and then the last one's double, EMP salary, like that. Get to the end of the line, opening, closing curly brace, put some space between them. Okay, we're going to set, once again, set private variables. First of all, we're going to say this dot EMP number right there is equal to EMP num, semicolon. Notice how these are the same identifiers here, the same identifiers for variables. In this case, I'm inside of this method, so therefore this one right here is the same as this one right here. And of course this refers to the class, so this one refers to this one up here. That's why it's kind of nice to use this, because you can use the same identifier, but yet you say this one here relates to the one called out in your parameter list, and this one relates to this, or the class private variable. Let's do that with all of them. This dot EMP, let's see, last name is equal to EMP last name, semicolon. This dot EMP first name is equal to EMP first name, semicolon. And this dot EMP salary is equal to EMP salary, just like that. Now what's going to happen, I'll show you an example over here in our test class, okay? And now rather than saying a new employee with no parameters, that actually calls this constructor, doesn't it? So therefore all these local variables, these private variables, become these default values. I can also use that constructor and I can say, okay, just give some information. The first piece of information I can do is I can say, well, let's make the employee number 1 and the last name is equal to my name, and the first name, we're going to send it my first name, and let's give myself a salary of $32,000. That's a nice salary, just like that. Okay. I'm getting errors here because I still haven't created these methods, these get set methods. And now let's create all these get set methods. We're just going to do a few because we don't want to do them all. I don't want to do them all, okay? Let's create, and these are public. Notice no static, okay? Just public in the name of the method. And you always type in get, and let's do emp num like that. Okay, this doesn't require any parameters because we're going to get the information. Okay, like that. We're going to take and we're going to return, what's that, an integer? int like that. Got an error? Yeah, the error says that we haven't returned anything. Okay, no problem. We'll get that in just a minute. We're going to return our private this dot emp num right there. Emp num right there. Okay, semicolon. Now we've given read access to this variable. Until then, you couldn't do that. Okay. Then they always have gets and sets. Let's make a public void, in this case, set emp num. And now we have to actually get an integer, don't we? Okay. And let's call that emp num, just like that. Opening, closing curly brace, put some space between them. And we're going to say this dot emp num right there is equal to emp num. Once again, I can use the same identifier. This one relates to this one. This one relates to this one way up here, okay? Semicolon. I can continue on and make all these. Let's make one more just for practice, okay? P public. The next one's a string, isn't it? We're going to return a string, and we're going to get emp last name, like that. Of course, we don't need any parameters because we're going to get it here. And here we're going to return this dot emp last name right there, semicolon. Just that easy. Make sure you don't mess up your curly braces here. Always have to have a opening, closing curly brace for each one of these get set methods. We'll do one more set. Okay, in this case a void because we aren't going to return anything. Set emp last name. Like that, okay. The thing is we've got to set it, so therefore we got to receive a string parameter, and we'll just call this emp last name, like that. Opening, closing curly brace. Okay, and we're going to say this dot employee last name is equal to emp last name. Notice how that even lights it up. It points out which one it is. Okay, like that. There. Now you can continue on and make a whole bunch of these other ones, okay? Let's put a little note in here. I forgot to do that. Okay, identifies that this is the get and set methods, like that. There. And now let's create some public. Oh, put a mark in the front. Class methods. In this case, we're going to just create one that prints out some information, okay? And let's try to get all this stuff in here. Let's do a system.out.printf. Okay. And let's say something like employee. And we're going to put a number in here, okay? Put a placeholder for integer, which is a D. And then let's put in parentheses here. Let's put in their name, okay? And so let's go percent and S for string. Put a space. We'll say like Tom DeYoung, percent S, okay? And like that. Has a salary of $, placeholder, .2f, like that. Okay, so now it's going to say employee 0 or 1 or whatever. Tom DeYoung has a salary of percent, you know, whatever my salary is, okay? And of course, don't forget your new line in there. Our parameter list here would be, first of all, the this.emp first name. No, we got to put a number, don't we? EMP number, like that, okay? The second one is going to be this dot EMP last name, first name. It's getting kind of long here. It's going to run out. And then this dot EMP last name, comma, and then this dot EMP salary, like that, okay? And of course, don't forget your closing semicolon here. Let's see if we got any errors. It says I got an error. What did I do wrong here? Let's see. Error on tokens. Okay, it said it doesn't like my tokens. System.out.printf. Let's see, I got employee. Let's see, that's an integer. Yep. String has a salary of. I wonder if we can't use this in here. That might be my. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It doesn't like that. That's strange, but that's okay. Get rid of all your thises right there. There, fixed that right up, didn't we? Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong here. Okay, I didn't create a method, did I? Whoa, slipping today. Public. And let's see, this is void because it doesn't return anything. Okay, and let's call this print stuff. Method called print stuff. Okay, no parameters. Opening curly brace, and just put a closing curly brace below that. There, that'll make everything happy, just like that. Okay. Now let's go back to our test here, and let's test it out. Okay, let's see. Let's create. Let's not use that one. Notice how it can't do the get EMP salary because we haven't written that one, have we? Okay, so let's just create a new object of employee type. Let's send it all these parameters, okay? And then let's just use that public print stuff method, okay? To get at that, we actually have to call out the object name, okay? Dot, and then print stuff. There it is right there. Just like that. Let's do one more thing because I want to show you that this actually is working up here, okay? Let's go to our constructor, okay? Let's actually put another little line in here that prints something, okay? System.out.printf, okay? And let's say Tom DeYoung was created or something like that, okay? What is that? Placeholder S space placeholder S space was created. Okay, like that. Closing quotation mark. And our arguments are going to be, once again, EMP first name and EMP last name, like that. Closing semicolon. And now let's go test it out. We'll actually see down the bottom here what happened. First, I'm going to clear this out down here. Clear. Oop, missed it. Oh, I didn't. I got it. Raise that up a little bit. Okay, just go ahead and run it. There we go. Oh, I forgot to put a new line in there. Okay, but anyway, it says Tom DeYoung was created, and then that does that with that constructor, okay? And then it does this method right here, which this should be on the next line. I can't put it on the next line, but employee 1, Tom DeYoung has a salary of so much.